Whoa, like the James Hetfield. You got to say something different than what is it? The Cunning Stunts documentary, isn't it? When they're doing the Black album, and Bob Rock is like, you got to say something different than man. Yeah, you got to say something different. Whoa. He's like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. But no, it's a year and a half in life Metallica. That's what it is. Part 1. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah, I watched them so much when I was a kid. Like, well, teenager, not even a kid. The second one's not quite as good when they go on tour, but it's still good. But that was kind of the start of vlogging, really, wasn't it? Metallica, in a sense, I think, started the whole vlog because they essentially filmed everything they ever did and put it out. But
they're a funny band because, like, they've really tried to embrace change and do different things. Okay, people give out about load and reload and that, but like,
I like them. I like them as albums.
I like them too.
Yeah.
But like, at least they were trying something different, and even like they kind of can't win because when they do go back and like the Death Magnetic one, like if they released that 30 years ago, it'd have been amazing. But
yeah.
And you just come back to the old Metallica. Then what the fuck do you want? Like,
what do you want? Yeah.
And then, they had all these innovative like trying things with the live shows and that, and then doing like the videos and stuff like that, and then they go and blow it by being against file sharing.
I know, yeah, it's so strange. Like they're so ahead of the curve on so many things, and then just wrong. Yeah, no, well, not even got wrong, just greedy. Come on, greedy. But but I suppose it could have been a case too that everyone was going insane, and Lars just went, right, well, fuck it, I'll do it. Like, right, okay, I'll take the stand for this. I'd say everyone was terrified that they were all going to lose their jobs, and that was the end of it. But like, so was when blank CDs come out, and when tapes come out, and all that stuff. But I don't know. I can understand if you're under pressure, or whatever. But he kind of, you're feeling your livelihood's gone. But like even if he never worked another day in his life, you'd have money, I assume. And if he doesn't, he's an idiot. Yeah.
He had a good run.
But doesn't Metallica make most of the money out of t-shirt sales anyway? This long while, isn't that? Is that not like the... And it was like in one of the documentaries to make like 60 grand, 70 grand or something on t-shirts at one gig or something like that. Like, so that could be a wrong figure, and it could be out of date when it could be probably...
It could be. Well, it makes sense. That's why, like, Pearl Jam do like a lot of they do like gig specific posters and all.
Yeah, and you can download the gig you were at and stuff like that, like
yeah. That's another way they have of making money. There was a thing though, like I was watching I was reading about some woman.
Woman.
Woman. A singer or someone in a band, a professional singer person anyway, and she was getting booked for a gig in Spain, and she's English. And you didn't come across this, did you? The hoops that British artists are going to have to jump through now to have concerts in European countries now are ridiculous.
All right.
If it doesn't improve, we're not going to. There's just going to be no English artists able to tour here unless they're, big things, Arctic Monkeys, Basement Jacks, that kind of level of fame and money, and
no one's coming over to the Academy or whatever, that kind of thing. Like is the Academy still going? Whatever. Any of those smaller gigs, like less than 1,000 people.
Like she had a list of like 20 or 25 criteria that she had to fill, and like some of them were absolutely ridiculous. That you had to have the, for example, the permit, with your passport photos tagged onto it, and also you have to surrender your passport to the embassy for 6 weeks and stuff. It's like, what the fuck?
What?
Like, how? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm only here for 2 days.
Isn't it funny that Brexit didn't work out the way they were thought it?
Yeah, who could have seen that?
Who could have seen up the ra?
Yeah, up the ra. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. He claims he didn't know. This is Nigel Farage has a viral video saying up the ra. For people who don't know, that is a way of saying I support the Irish Republican Army. But he must know. Like, there's no. It's so famous. There's no way he didn't know that. Like there's no.
There's no way an English fella didn't. An English politician didn't know it. Definitely.
Well, if there was one who's not going to know it, I would probably put money on him being him.
But it's a bit like I don't know, getting an American. Give me a Texas senator. I don't know. Whatever his name, your man Ted Cruz. Isn't his name his real name like
the Zodiac
Sanchez
Killer
Dominguez or something?
Yeah, something like that.
No, he has a Mexican name and he changed it because he's a racist. Isn't that it?
Oh, I don't know, but okay, yeah, that sounds right. That I could believe that.
It'd be a bit like if he done like a thing to video and was like, happy birthday to Paddy and his friend Jamal. Allah Akbar. It's mad.
Well, it's actually.
I watched it like 10 times. Like, did he say that? Did
it's
he actually say up the rap?
It's actually a bit worse than saying Allah Akbar, because Allah Akbar is just praise God. Like, but this is actually a slogan that's used terrorism, like a terrorist organization. Brackets. Like, there's arguments about all that, but it's a very odd kind of a... Well, like, they were working out in Reddit, so that he had something like 500 reviews, positive reviews on this. I think it's Gallup it's called, but I'm not sure. And he charges £85 for every video. So even if every single person who bought one off him left a review, he's making quite a lot of money. And I'm sure he said worse things than up the rat. It's just that's that's what went live or what went viral from.
So
he has to make his money some way. So
I thought he had made his money from short selling before Brexit and stuff, though, because he was like was he some sort of investment banker or worked with investments? And the thing was about him wanting Brexit so much was because he was short selling on something that he knew the economy would wobble or crash a bit, and that's what I had heard. He's supposed to be a multi-millionaire. I don't know why he's doing this stuff other than to stay relevant. But then again, why does anyone do OnlyFans? Because it's a bit of money and, what's the word? Oh, what's the thing comedians have when people laugh at their jokes straight away? What's it called?
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. That's it. Yeah. Do you know?
Yeah.
That's basically what all these things are like, isn't it? When you boil them down.
Yeah. Or love me, daddy.
Well, I mean,
love
money
me,
as well. I mean, one of the lads I know, he's he does well with this. That doesn't matter what he does. He knows an English teacher over in Asia, I believe, and you don't make fuck all money doing these EFL English second language teaching pretty much anywhere in the world anymore. You don't make a lot of money. You go for the travel and that you'll have money while you're there, kind of thing. But she's over in Asia in one of those nice countries where the weathers go, but she's not making a lot of money. So she started an OnlyFans thing, and she's like a PhD science whiz and does like science lectures in her bikini.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
So it's like, fair enough, I suppose. All right, well, if it makes you money, go for it. But it's the world's weird that you can make money that way. But I mean, okay.
We should do this in our bikinis, and then we'll get even less viewers than we already have. Yeah.
What kind of cup size am I? I don't think any of Aga's would fit me.
Yeah, I'm a triple double G or something quite extraordinary. Anyway.
How do you even find that out?
You go and someone measures you. Like it's or you keep putting on bras until it works.
Imagine me going into fucking. What's the brand here? Triumph for like the Polish. What's the knickers and bra company? The really sexy one, where the girls.
I don't know.
Oh, you know the one. They have a shop on O'Connell Street. Not Ann Summers. The other one. Victoria's Secrets. That's it.
Oh, yeah, I do actually know that.
Is it Victoria's Secret or Victoria's Secrets or Victoria's Secrets? I never know the name of that company. Doesn't matter. They sell sexy underpants. Because imagine me going into like the Polish branch with my crappy Polish and being like, yeah, look, dzień dobry. Hello. I need potrzebuję sizować moje piersi dla podcastu. Podcastu?
And they'll probably go, yeah, don't worry, you're the third person today who wants a bikini for the podcast.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, another podcaster. Oh, here we go. Why do all the bald guys use that excuse? You know, it's for a post-rock video. That better. Where did all that come from, Tommie?
I have no idea. I don't know. Yesterday it was Crowley's birthday. He was 146.
Happy birthday to you.
And I was thinking that the very, very first podcast that we ever did together was on your old podcast, and it was about Aleister Crowley. It was about Alan Chapman had put up a video back when he was doing Wiser talking about Aleister Crowley, and I had posted it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, so then you go, right, I'll ask him about Aleister Crowley. And that was like, so that was the seed. That's where I planted it. That was the first bit where I just got it in there. But, so how long goes that? That has to be, when were you doing that? Comedy Cast. And it was after the Comedy Cast, but it was still part of the Comedy Cast, wasn't it? Because you were starting interviewing.
3 or 4 years ago then, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I had a look on their SoundCloud. We're nearly up to 200 episodes of this now. Yeah. 170, 180 or something, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah. So there's
Jesus,
thousands of hours of us.
Huh? Not bad. Yeah. We're doing well, Tommie. We're doing well. Yeah. We're still able to get more out of this. Yeah, on Crowley, this new blue book, why has everyone got their knickers in a knot about this Skinner book? Who is he and why are people excited?
Stephen Skinner is a guy who's very well known in the occult circles for writing and I suppose editing, writing, rewriting, talking about grimoires and the kind of very much ceremonial magic. And he would be seen as someone who is quite an adept, quite a kind of advanced. And just because he's written so many books and they're done really, really well. And, explaining the different kind of grimoire
so he's synopsizing stuff? Or
well, no, I don't know the technical... depending on the book, but I'll tell you what he does with the Crowley one is where he, here's the Crowley book and then he adds his footnotes to it. So it's editing, but it's more than editing in that he's not changing anything. He's commentating on it or being a pundit on it. But I think it's classed as editing because it's edited by Stephen Skinner.
Right. So he's saying, right, this is what he said, this is what he means.
And this is where he goes wrong. Because I was flicking through it and I went straight to Star Ruby, and essentially Skinner's notes are, this is shit, this is crap, there's absolutely no need for this, and he gets it wrong at the end. He should have done this. And just did lesser banishing pentagram, or lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I don't know why he made this thing. It's like, okay, Stephen, tell us how you really feel. So it's so he's that.
You put me off it now because Star Ruby's far better than the lesser banishing ritual because it's shorter.
Well, yeah, but there's that, but it's also from a technical point of view, he's going, well, no, this is wrong technically because the things he calls in should be entities and they're not entities, they're class of entities, so technically it's wrong. So it's that kind of thing.
Poindexter, okay.
No,
right,
that's one of the few kind of things that I didn't get a good chance. It's actually, I have it here for those who are watching. So it's a good tome, So it's the 4 books, and there's the one that is more well known because
it's based on Crowley's Blue Brick. That's what it's called.
Well, it's not based on that. That's just another version of the same thing. It's based on the 4 books of magic. So it's like the Liber 4, Liber ABA, that were released as 4 separate books. One of the first ones on, it's the one on. Well, he talks about yoga, but it's essentially meditation, and then it's the one is where he talks about the implements and the kind of things, the wands and all of that, and then there's the one on magic itself, and then book 4 is Book of the Law. It's book 4, so that's the collected. The whole thing is collected as book 4, part 1, 2, 3, and 4.
What's the how to ask this in a nice way?
No, that's getting the shit.
I can't ask this in a nice way. I can't ask this in a nice way. So people are going to get this book by what's his name now? Mr. Skinner, Principal Skinner,
Dr. Stephen Skinner,
Dr. Stephen Skinner. So are Telemites going to change their way of doing things because of books like this? Or and I'm asking,
I wouldn't say so.
It's or to troll.
Yeah, no, it's
just honestly, what's
no, because there's a history of this, of people reprinting other people's occult books by adding the thing or did it on Eliphas Levi. He translated. Well, he translated them but he'd add his notes again. It's the similar thing where he basically said this is wrong, or put in his own kind of 2 cent. But the reason why people would be interested in this is because the people like Skinner. It's a cheaper book than the Big Blue, the Blue Brick. It's about half the price, sort of that, but it looks cheaper. Like it doesn't read as well. You know, when you open a hardback and it closes, essentially, it does that. But the Big Blue opens. You know, it's kind of it. Yeah, I think people like to have books like it. Like it's. I'd be interested just to hear what Stephen Skinner says about it. But it's the content of it is the same as the other one. You know, like what Crowley says about it is so. But it's always good to get it. So it's like, I suppose.
But is he a Telemite?
No, he's not. No.
Right.
And it was kind of shocking. By a lot of shocking is probably too strong a word, but it was kind of caught people by surprise that he would do something like this. Given, you know, he probably Stephen Skinner 100% believes that the reason magic works is because you ask a spirit to do something for you. That's it. Right. And everything else is something else, but it's not magic.
Yeah, but Crowley wouldn't believe that though. Like,
depends when you ask Crowley, though. That's the question, you know. And it's not. At the beginning of his career, he thought this, and at the end of his career, he thought he does this the whole way through, whatever. So, and he would blame Crowley in a sense for the whole psychological model of magic, and he says that because of the translation that he did of the Goetia, where he starts off going that these are just aspects of your mind, or whatever the exact quote is, he says that's the point where things went a bit wrong in magic. Skinner would say, because he says that, you know, that's when the separation happened, because up till then it was spirits, that was it, that was the only, you know, that was the thing, and it kind of,
is that not then well, okay, so like my kind of belief, and I think it's probably yours as well, as a kind of a theurgy thing, is that we're all trying to they're up there above us, but also like we're aspects of them, but they're aspects of us too. So it is a oneness. Yeah. So it's not non-duality, whereas he thinks spirits are actual somethings that aren't in the oneness. Yeah. Well,
it could still be in, I don't know, I'd have to ask him, but it could still be in the oneness, but they still have it's like going, let me see if I can put it in it's like you go into a bar and you have to ask a barman to get you the pint. And, you know, you can think and you can sit there going, I'll get a pint, and it doesn't happen until you physically ask the barman to give you a pint. But we're all human.
No, Tommie, I'll give you a story now. I'll give you a story now.
But I mean, without actually stealing it and stuff like that. But like, I mean, it's probably a bad analogy, but it's that kind of thing where you could be one to say, but it's still, they have a different perspective or a different power or a different place.
I understand.
Then I don't know. You'd have to ask himself, but that's just a suggestion. So tell me about a bar where free pints came in.
I remember years ago, a friend of mine, and he had done his degree in philosophy, and I used to love getting drunk and talking to him, because I'd be like, right, come on, give me some Nietzsche, come on, let's do this. Or like, what's the maddest fucking theory you had this week in college, kind of thing. But we went into a restaurant and he was broke, and he was like, I'm going to do something in here, Spud, and wait and see what happens. Okay, what? I'm not going to tell you until after. Okay, fine. So we all ordered food. He didn't. He said, I'm fine. And about halfway through the meal, one of the lads was like, I'm done, John, do you want this? Here, have this. And then a couple of minutes later, then, of course he took it. It was like a half a bowl of gnocchi or whatever. And then a couple of minutes later, then someone else did exactly the same thing. He says, yeah, I'm done, man. Here, you're hungry? Here, you can have this. And, all right, sounds, yeah. And I was like, and we left the thing, and he was like, see what I did there? I was like, you motherfucker, how did you do that? Like, it works every time, man. Works every time.
Yeah, but what is though? It would work one time, but then the next time.
Do with strangers, couldn't you? No, I wouldn't. I'm too hungry to do that. I wouldn't be able to sit.
I'm not even that. I think it's a shitty thing to do. If that's your intention,
it is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
It is a shitty thing to do, because you're manipulating people into doing something or whatever.
It's a shitty thing to do, says the magician, whose entire thing is manipulating people in the world into doing what he wants.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's a shitty thing to boast about it. You know, if he's a proper magician, stay silent, say nothing, just enjoy your meal that's handed to you. But
look, I don't think I won't be buying this Dr. Skinner book, because, you know, my relationship with Crowley isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever it is.
But it's after causing such a not a storm in a teacup, but there's a lot of people posting about it who wouldn't normally post about Crowley and stuff that I've seen around. Like, all right, so this book's causing a bit of a something.
It's only £7 on Kindle anyway. Like, so I mean, you don't have to buy the thing. So if you just wanted to, for people who don't actually want to, you don't care about the actual physically having in the book.
And is there any books like it that's like done by a high-ranking Telemite who's like, well, look.
The Big Blue, the other one is done by the head of the OTO. So I mean, that's
but they're the baddies, though, aren't they?
Depends, but Marco would say so. I'd like other people think they're wonderful, but going by what Marco says, I'm going to believe Marco. In fairness, but yeah. So I mean, he thinks Marco's saying in his video that he had on Instagram, that it's even with all his objections to the OTO and to the guy himself, he still says it's a wonderful edition. The original Blue, it's some good additions to it and good notes, and it's really well designed. The other one. Any of the Skinner books I have, I don't have too many, I have a few, but they're not cheap, but they're not, the paper's not great, it's just kind of the design. I'm not a fan of how the book designs, but like they're very functional and they're good, and they're, he was on the Glitch Bottle there, Reese. He's on the latest episode of Glitch Bottle, and he's talking about it, whatever, and it's a really good interview, and it would, if you're not into Crowley or whatever, have a listen, and it'll give you an appreciation of what Skinner was attempting and the kind of round. But he pronounces Crowley as Crowley, and it's really annoying because it's kind of fine. That's if you're just think, but the guy, the host, is constantly saying Crowley, and then Skinner will immediately answer with saying Crowley, like as if not trying to make a point, but I would just kind of, if someone is after spending so much time hanging out with someone and editing a book and doing all of that and getting completely buried in the world and all that you would need to do in order to, learn how to pronounce his name. Just because the cult's in the question, what else are you missing? Because like Crowley talks about it in his writing, how his name is to be pronounced. So it's, but and that's one of those things I can't really justify being so annoyed about, but I am, because there's just like, so what even if you call them Cruwley, who cares? But at the same time, it's like no, I'm
on your side here, because it's I'm on your side here. I think you should try and pronounce people's names as they pronounced them themselves when they were alive. So Crowley is Crowley. Like, even like, I know I slag off the English footballers, Tim Cahill.
Yeah,
even though his name is Cal, But like, if he calls himself Cahill, then respect the fella and call him by what he thinks.
Yeah, it's like the way it's saying Liam, the Gallaghers. I mean, it's Gallagher here, but like they pronounce it Gallagher, so you're like, that's their name then, So
yeah, fair enough, I suppose.
But I mean, say what you want about Crowley and all that, and his thing, but he's still obviously.
That's the thing. The thought came back to me here, like, like someone picking up that book and they've already read The Blue Brick and picking up this one now, like, and seeing the opinion of this Dr. Skinner fellow who seems to know what he's on about. Yeah, like, how to say this as well? Like, would you not be tempted to just be like, yeah, look, this Crowley stuff is cool and all, and the Golden Dawn stuff is cool and all, but like, there's far easier ways of doing this.
Well, it depends what you're looking for. You know what I mean? That it's some people are looking for tradition. Some people are looking for. And it's like coming back to the way we're saying, just find your own way. But how do you know what your own way is until you have a look at what's there?
But isn't what people think is tradition actually just because tradition is an evolving thing. It has to be to be a tradition.
Yeah.
But isn't what people, especially in magic, seem to understand tradition as is basically just conservatism.
Well, it's not even that. It's probably a 30-year history between the late 1800s and the early 1900s. That, the Golden Dawn and the kind of Paul Foster case, Crowley, all of this, Diane Fortune. That's kind of seen as, and I suppose resurgence of Hermetism and Hermeticism even. And tradition's probably the wrong word. Structure.
No. But Tommie, it's the right word, because you're using the word that people use for it, and they say, oh, it's tradition. Yeah, but tradition's bullshit. It's made up. It's just an agreed, right, we're doing this year because like, I'll give you an example. I've given you this before. Like, in Poland, people eat carp for Christmas, right? And it's not a nice fish. It's a mud, what do you call it, bottom feeders, which sounds filthy.
Keep it in your bath for 2 days. Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah. And like the reason is like during the 60s they just had too many carp, and the government's announced one Christmas, right? You're eating carp this Christmas, and everyone just went, well, there's fucking nothing in the shops to have vinegar anyway, so fine. And they just keep up the tradition. So it's a tradition that came from nothing. That's a bad example.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad example.
No, it's not. No, it's a good
example
example.
of how traditions start. Even like the whole Christmas tree thing is, wasn't it an English king was trying to make his German bride less homesick? So it's like, oh, what's wrong? Oh yeah, I miss the trees in Germany. Yeah, I miss them so much. Yeah, and he's like, oh, I think I've now get you a fucking tree then. Why? Put it up in a fucking thing. Put some fucking candles on it. Oh, West Ham. You know, and that's how tradition starts. And it's like part of me is like, look, tradition's nonsense. So make up your own. But at the same time, I totally agree with like, okay, learn what it is. Okay, learn what it is, and then tear it down and make your own, or just add to it or something. But like, I struggle.
Why do you feel that there is?
Let me finish. I struggle with leaving tradition as it is instead of allowing it to evolve into something.
But what if it works? What if it works? Fine. What if tradition works fine? Why fuck with it?
Well, Christmas trees are fine. Everyone likes them. Yeah, it does work.
Yeah. But it's just so like this. I feel sometimes people, not pointing at you, but that's it. That kind of thing is that they just can't accept a Christmas tree and have to change it because it's a Christmas tree. And go, no, I'm not doing that. Even though the Christmas tree's fine. You know, and it's a deliberate...
a whole lot of cactuses.
Yeah, or whatever it is, you know, and it's just change for the sake of change, or as a rebellion, or as a kind of authority, against authority. And there's a lot of that in Chaos Magic.
I agree with you there too.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I'll tell you why I like Crowley. And I'm not a huge fanboy or whatever, or why I like any of these people, is because I like listening to people who know more about things than I do, whether I agree with them or not. And that's it. So like, why did I get to Skinner about it? Because Skinner knows more about this topic and about his thing. And even if he doesn't in certain places, he probably has a different view or perspective on it. And that's the kind of, that's what I'm looking for out of it. You know, what's his thoughts on it? You know,
that's probably why it's a very good book. And I reckon it will be a good book. It's just I'm not into him. That's all, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I mean, and it's like, to put it in perspective, like, I don't, you know, I'm not a Telemite, and I don't think I would ever be, but it's like, I
like that stuff. That's why I got your man Schumacher's book instead of getting any of the Liebers, because it's like, right, I want a kind of modern interpretation of this stuff. He's one of the head honchos, it seems to be. So yeah, you kind of make the decision in your mind. I think he's trustworthy, so I'll read his book. You know, Skinner sounds like he is too.
Yeah, I'd be another way. I'd rather read Crowley than someone talking about Crowley. But there's certain like, how do you get into these things? You know, sometimes you have to read a book about something. It's like Jung. You know, where do you start with Jung? Probably with someone talk a book about Jung. You know,
exactly.
But at the same time, like, if you only read one book written by Jim McKevitt, I don't know, about Jung, then you're not really getting Jung. You're only getting Jim McKevitt's Jung, you know. And so there should be, in my opinion, and for what that is, you know, start if you want an inroad into Crowley, read it. You know, read a biography about him, or read something, you know, like the Living Thelema or any of these books. But you know, before you have an opinion on exactly what he wrote, though, you should probably read it, you know, yourself. But like, that's, you know, you don't have to read Crowley either. Like, it's not an essential thing, but it's just, I don't know. That's my thing. It's like, I don't know, if you only ever read a book about Peter Kingsley and then never read a Peter Kingsley book, are you really getting the flavour of Peter Kingsley? Are you getting someone's, you know, that's it.
I get you. Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, look, I think
if you only ever heard Spud and Tommie talking about Peter Kingsley, do you think you're getting an accurate picture of Peter Kingsley? No, you're definitely not getting accurate. You know?
Don't read his first book, though, because I've been there and it's terrible. Not terrible, it's tough going. His second book, though, that I'm just finishing now, is really good. Well, that was fucking good.
That was the first one I read, was In the Dark Place of Wisdom. It's the one I enjoyed the most, I have to say. So, and
really
reality is the actual. It's the sequel to that one. So,
right,
that's the one most people read.
It's supposed to be tougher going, but I'll
it's not. I don't think it's tougher. It's not tough going in the way his first book is at all. The first one. It's very.
The first one's a mess.
It's very similar to In the Dark Place of Wisdom, only it's twice as long, and he says the same thing for over 600 pages rather than 300 pages. That's still worth reading the 600 pages.
In any of the books, does he actually give you the practice of the stuff he's talking about? Yeah.
He does in The Dark Place of Wisdom, does talk about how to do incubation.
He tells you what it is, but he doesn't...
But it's literally lying down and pretending you're dead. Like
that is true, actually. That's all. It's pretty fucking
That's
simple,
all it is.
Actually,
But I look for like... I suppose like a checklist thing for incubation. 1, lie down, close your... But it's like that, so it's lie down... lie down to die, and then let all your senses...
feel your buttocks. Don't you have to feel your buttocks a lot,
your buttocks and the goddess. And then that kind of whole notion of common sense, where that when you become aware of your eyes, your hearing, your feeling, your sensation, all that you get this thing called common sense, which the thing that we call common sense is kind of a bastardization of that, but that it's an overall kind of... I suppose it's the non-dual thing. Perhaps you could make an argument, it's that sense of oneness. So the goal of incubation would be to get an answer to a particular quandary you have, or to in some way talk or experience divinity. But yeah, don't overcomplicate it. It's literally lie down, close your eyes.
Yeah.
Shut up. He does do. I think there is a guide of one he does in one of the audio series. So there is an actual one. It's quite funny where he says that if anyone snores, then the agreement is that I can sit on you. What? Fair enough.
Him and his buttocks, man. He loves the buttocks. Good old Peter, huh?
I'm glad you read that, because I'm glad that you can kind of get you can understand why I like him, but also he bugs the shit out of it.
I didn't want to throw in the towel on him, because I've said a million times before in the podcast, I like his interviews, I like his speeches, his yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Just the first book just raked my head and just went, what the hell is this all about? Like, and it's just not what's it all about, but it's just very... You know what? We spoke about this before. It's grand. You know my opinion. We don't need to go over this again. It's grand. I'll read more of these as well. I'm still going to skip the Young one, because I need to know a good bit more about Young before. But anyway, I was listening to your man's book. I try and listen to it as much as I can, but I don't drive much. I don't commute at all, so it's kind of trying to find the time to listen to it. Your man's book about Blake, John Higgs, and he was talking this morning about, or the chapter I'm on. He's talking about Emanuel Swedenborg, or what was his other name that we found? Swedenborg. He had two names, Swedenborg and Swedenborg. I think they probably just call him Swedenborg because he moved to England, and the English are like, yeah, what? Nah, man, you're Jim. Didn't John Terry did that with the Chelsea captain? I think he still plays the Chelsea. As I can't even say his name. As Pilaqueta. He's a Spanish fella, and John Terry is like, no, yeah, Jim.
Fair enough, yeah.
What can you do? Like, he's the captain at the time. Anyway,
remember that TV show years ago, Alien Nation? It was also a film where the aliens come and they give them try to put them into human
they kind of
society.
Had the birthmarks on their head. This one, yeah.
But they ran out of names, so they started calling people stupid names. Like one of the guys was called San Frisco, and Jim New York, and all this kind of stuff. It's really stupid.
Cool. Yeah. That's like the Jim or not Jim, the George Harrison thing, wasn't it? This Side Up, wasn't it? Looking at the crate, the boxes. What's this song called?
Handle with care.
Handle with care, yeah. That was it, yeah. Anyway, so in the book he was talking about this, I thought it was fierce interesting. He was talking about this thing that Swedenborg had shared with Blake, and it's this idea of the four different types of dreams or visions you have. But then also Swedenborg had this idea of heaven and hell, which I thought was fucking fascinating as well. So the four dreamy vision thing was that, and Higgs is making the point in the book that like anyone can have these. Like Swedenborg. Why am I calling him Swedenborg?
Just Swedenborg. It is Swedenborg is what he's mostly known as. It is Swedenborg,
but what was his real name? I'm going to have to click into
Jim Swedenborg. Or
Swedborg. It'd be Sved, like SV, because they have a V instead of a... Okay, so, and he was saying, look, this guy was a total rationalist, like totally proper scientist. He even like published a monthly like magazine pamphlet thing, which was about inventions in the realm of science during his time. This was Mr. Rational, you know, and a bit like my buddy Steiner, like he was Mr. Rational as well. But then, you know, according to this Carl Jung thing, the shadow just bursts out of the heart because you've fucking kept them down for too long, and then this Swedenborg becomes this like full-on visionary dude, and he had like these 4 types of dreams, visions. One was your normal dream, but a dream that felt vivid. So maybe not normal, your more vivid dream. And then you had your the one between going to bed and sleeping, and then you had the next one was the morning one, just when you wake up. And he said that was his favorite one, and he was able to get into this one for like hours at a time.
Right, yeah.
And then the other one, that'd be mental. And then the other one was like the full on seeing like you're walking down the street and you're seeing, I don't know, fucking demons come down and eat raccoons, like we'll talk about later. And stuff like that. But Blake had the same thing, but Blake didn't have nice names for them. Blake called them like the 4-fold vision, the 3-fold vision.
Yeah.
But they were the same things pretty much. Yeah. Like
did he separate them in 4 ways? I kind of that was some sort of
there is. He does explain it in a weird Blakean way of how he explains them. So I think but I think what happened. It sounds like what happened. Blake was he just kind of, how to say it, not broke his mind, but kind of rewired it in a way when he was growing up, that he just like was, from the start, he was just open to seeing stuff that was potentially there, kind of thing. He said something as well in the book that like Swedenborg and Germain shared this kind of thing of having imaginary friends growing up. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to ask Tommie, you probably had an imaginary friend growing up?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Vanessa did. My wife, and had a name and a place where she lived, and like
I did too. Yeah, I had 2, and mine was called Patrick, and Paul, my brother's name. They were just mirrors. That's all they were. Like, strange.
It's strange.
My kids still haven't had it though.
But it's a bit well. No, mine's only 3. So, but yours are the right age for it now. There's 5 and 36. Isn't that your kids? 5 and 36. Yeah, it seems to happen.
27-year-old walking around France going, fucking Irish. Fucking
there seems to be some sort of correlation between, just as tangential slightly, between when kids start talking about previous lives and when kids start talking about their imaginary friends, seem to happen around the same time, which is sometime between 3 and 4, allegedly. Right. Going by the kind of, the people have done the studies into this. So it may perhaps connect, but you kind of, I suppose, switched on enough that you're aware of these things, but not, shut off enough that you have been integrated into human society so much that kind of weird luminous.
It's a weird thing, because like I pretty much forgotten about it until in the car there driving home. He said, this fella had an imaginary friend. I was like, I have one. I had 2 of them. Wait, no, what? What did I miss here? Is that important? Is that something that I should care about? What? Oh shit! I forgot about that. That's fucking weird, And I even remember having the second one, because it was when my ma, told me she was going to have another baby. So I just made up another imaginary friend so that I wouldn't be lonely. And that's why I was having a brother. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here, you mad bastard? What was I thinking? Were
you seeing the morphic resonance that it has to appear in the ether first before it appears in reality, and sort of the only thing I suppose I kind of had that I actually have him here beside my ET teddy from when I was a kid. And that was totally feels like a real person to me, like, and did as a kid. So I probably had that outlet in that, rather than, there was a physical kind of, I had attached it, I suppose, in a kind of a servitory type way that I had installed it into an item, But I've talked about before, there's something to do with the HGA stuff, it's all connected with all that. The vision of it seems to come from that, the actual technical thing, the vision of the angel and stuff, that's the first kind of acknowledgement of that, which I assume the imaginary friend has to have some sort of correlation to all that, if any of this is to be believed, but perhaps it's a completely different phenomenon, I don't know. But it's interesting. Clue, it's an interesting one that it's so prevalent, in kids. I think you're meant to just let them work away, aren't you? You're not meant to correct
Yeah.
them.
If a kid has it, you just say, yeah, grand, yeah. Well, of course you are. I'm not touching that. Fuck that. I'm not dealing with that. No, that's like getting a really hideously dirty nappy. You know, when they're on and you're like, you'll be all right. Your mother
Patrick says he knows what you do when you're with the laptop in your room on your own. He says he watches you. Okay.
Mad, huh? I don't know. I must ask me ma when I see her the next time about it. What if she remembers that? And,
just sage, but you know, sage the kids, sage your house. You know, get an exorcism. Just get it out. Yeah,
Here, he was saying something as well about Swedenborg about because he had travelled into heaven and hell and stuff, and he was saying that his idea of hell was quite different than the fire and brimstone of Christianity, and he was saying that the difference between who gets into heaven and who gets into hell is that hell is for people who are self-involved, selfish, everything's for themselves, materialist kind of thing, you know. And then Higgs says this is what probably triggered the change in him, because he realised that he had been selfish. He had been doing everything for himself. It doesn't seem that he was in like a me kind of way, but it was that like he's coming up with these inventions and new theories and all this stuff because it's for his betterment and his alone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas he then changed his mind and says, no, actually I need to be doing this for the greater good, for humanity rather thing, you know? And he was saying that like when he went down to hell was just a slum town that was just full of crime and violence and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, fucking hell, holy shit. And he says something like a man down there felt a breath from heaven and it scared him very badly or something. But then he got a whiff of hell and it put him back on track.
Yeah.
Because you
The
imagine
seduction.
like, if that... Yeah, but you can imagine, like, if that's all separates heaven and hell, it's like, fucking hell, there's a lot of us going to hell, like, if that's
I suppose you could say that you have that here on Earth. Like, you can very easily fall into hell. You can very easily fall into less easy seems to fall into to heaven or whatever. But like, you can certainly, you know, think your way into a hellish state and stuff like that. But I don't think that's quite what he was pointing at. I think he actually means there's another place, or it's not just a hell of your own creation. It's funny because through that whole kind of William Blake book, as much as I enjoyed William Blake and the whole thing, the Swedenborg section it's the most interesting. I was going like, I definitely have to read some Swedenborg after and get into it.
The stuff with what do you call what are they called? Ranters. What are they called? The ranters? Or the lart? Is that what they were called?
Can't remember.
It was just before that he was talking about these kind of radical movements in England.
Oh yeah,
who were like some of them were heathenists and some of them were like, there was one fella, he was a preacher who was up for trial
everything.
for everything, and as part of his defense was like, women are God and all else is nothing. He was like, yeah, fair enough.
That's a great thing about John Higgs. He places everything so well in context of what's going on. You know, like you get a real feel of the flavour of the times and why Blake, you know, why he was thinking and what he was being, you know, kind of not subjected to, but you know, surrounded by, and what was the current thoughts of the day, and you know, the radicalness, and you know, because you kind of think back, I suppose, maybe it's just me, but a couple hundred years, and you think everyone's kind of has the same ideas. You know, there's like one kind of idea that everyone follows, you know, whether that's like Christianity or whether that's you know, conservatism or whatever is the kind of thing to have. But when you see that, no, it was as disparate in many ways as it is now, and you know that there was like kind of, I suppose, an underground scene, or there was, you know, like there was the kind of the punk scene of the day, and all of that's going on. It's very interesting. Like I find that same with his other books, like the KLF book. It's, you know, it's the whole history of KLF, but also chaos magic and, you know, the counterculture, and all, you know, it's situated within the place. And I think it's sometimes with biographies you don't really get that. You just kind of get the life. You know, when it starts, and his father was a brewer, and his mother, you know, hated men, and you know, just kind of, you know, and it goes through that, and you kind of go, all right. So I know a bit about Jim, but I have no idea what his world was like, really, you know. So. But you definitely come away knowing what William Blake's world is like from that book.
Yeah, for sure. It's great. It's brilliant. They're the same. So the way he kind of transports you into the landscape in a less snotty way of saying that, but like like what you said, you get a really good idea. The same, like you have this idea that like whatever Britain of 200 or 300 years ago was like, right, there was really two Britons. There was the upper class who went hunting on horses and all of it, the red coats and all that kind of stuff. Well, maybe there was three. Then there was the military who were doing their raping and pillaging anywhere and everywhere. And then there was like the people who lived in all the slums, and that was it. There was three kind of things, and there was like, and then he's like, nah, there's no,
all this other stuff.
There was all the in between stuff as well. Of like, there was the radical people who were taking, like, radical then was like the radical politics of like, no, we don't need to be under the yoke of the aristocrats. We can do this ourselves. And then like that led into kind of these religious, not revolutions, but new ways of thinking about religion. Like, hey, no kings, no masters. We can. The Bible's in English now. We got this. We can read this ourselves and make up our own religions and stuff. And then that, of course, led to hedonism, because there's like the belief that, well, you know, there is no sin. What we do is God just being God. So it's not a sin. As long as you're not hurting anyone, it's not a sin. Who's orgy? Yeah, orgy. Yeah, no one's, I'm not hurting anyone. There's no one sore. It's grand. You know, it's orgy. You know?
We have the lube. We've enough lube. It's fine. Everyone will be fine. Yeah, it's fine.
And you can see like even like stuff like, okay, so this was the blueprint of stuff, and you can see like that leads to, you know, dudes like Crowley.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Really, really great book. Get it. Now, even you don't even have to like Blake. You don't. It's just such a good book, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I had very vague kind of notion of William Blake. Probably the same as everyone else, but very different character than I expected. You know, it's because rather than him just being a kind of a vague notion, he's a rounded human being now in my head. You know, that's. And great thing about John Higgs too is he does all the work for you. You know, there's no kind of where you have to go off and go, what was he on about? Not he's like, so he's go. And, you know, Blake had an interest or came across Swedenborg. Here's, you know, 30 pages on Swedenborg and what he thinks about it. And then you come back and it's Blake, but he also met Jim, and then 30 pages on Jim. And it's all really interesting. And, you know, you go off, right? You can tell he went off on these journeys, you know, himself and had a good time doing it.
Exactly, yes, class. I suppose, I mean, for me, like, I know who Blake is, but Blake is a bit whitewashed. Because, like, you hear, like, Jerusalem sung at the proms and stuff like that, and you just think, this is kind of nationalistic pomp. But it's not at all, like. You know,
and then, like, I mean,
it's absolutely not.
It's always kind of implied that it's Jesus, and it's not Jesus that he's talking about at all in it, like, but, yeah. Which is strange, you know, because like that's strange, just an assumption that, you know.
And I guarantee you, most of the people singing this don't know that.
They don't know that. Yeah, absolutely don't know that. Yeah. So read all John Higgs books. You know, just blanket read them all. He has a smaller kind of pamphlet-y type book on Blake as well. That not to be mixed up, but it was obviously one of those things where he wrote kind of an extended article and then goes, right now I could make a book out of this. Yeah.
Oh, look, he has to go into the Task of Saints anyway. Him, the KLF, Jodorowsky. Who else we got in there now at this stage?
Rupert Sheldrake.
Oh yeah, Rupert and Sheldrake. Yeah. We need to update this, man. We need more Saints.
Gabor Mate. We put him in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, anyone we liked on the podcast. Go through the podcast. If we like these people, they're now saints. If we didn't like them. Yeah. Is Kingsley a saint? We
can canonize him. We can't give him a full sainthood yet.
Yeah.
He's working on it.
If you need a few miracles under his...
Yeah. He needs to stop saying things like, you know, don't read this book for 50 years and stuff like that. Like, this book has come along to her. Shut up, will you? You know, all that kind of nonsense.
But in fairness, so did William Blake. He also said that about one of his books, that it nearly exactly the thing. This is for the future of humanity. It's not for contemporary humanity. So there's a precedent for people being aware at the right time.
That's based on like everything you've already said. Like, you know, make it new.
I do. Yeah. You know, make it visionary. Make it for the future. Rather than just, you know, everything you said in the last 30 years.
Even like the Carl Jung things. Like, I mean, I'm still like the Red Book. Like, I'm still not sure about the whole Red Book thing. It's like, yeah, he wrote from the Black Books. The Black Books were his journals. diaries, and then he made it into Red Book, but he didn't want it published. And he's,
No.
Should you really have published it? I mean, someone's going to get a haunting over that. You know, imagine Carl Jung haunting you. You know,
Yeah.
I've had dreams with Carl Jung and he's sound, but like I wouldn't like him haunting me.
No.
You know,
Looking at you when you're alone in a room with a laptop.
He'd annoy the shit out of you because he whatever you'd ask him, he'd have the proper answer for. He'd be one of them know-it-all haunters, ghosts. You know, shut up, Carl, leave me alone. I am just a projection. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
It is really you who won't leave yourself alone. Ha 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 ha.
I am just taking the form of Carl Jung. Now I'm going to fuck all the women.
True story.
Yeah, anyway.
True story. Imagine your imaginary friend was Carl Jung. God, what a childhood. What a childhood.
Good crack. Samhain is approaching. Samhain.
What's that?
Samhain is approaching.
Oh, Samhain is
Halloween.
Samhain. You mean Samhain is...
Even in the fucking National I'm pointing at it here so you can... Yeah, Tommie's looking at my laptop here. There's a new National Geographic article out which has done the rounds on social media quite a lot, and it's about Owen Gate. Owen the Gat. Where this is the Hell Cave, apparently, where Halloween was born. And it's a fairly good article, but they have Hown written down, and it has how to pronounce it, like
Samhain.
Sowin. Samhain. That's not right. It's not Samhain. It's not a cow. It's not a cow. Not a cow. What am I saying? It's not a female pig.
I don't know. Samhain. I would say Samhain. Samhain, that's how I would say it.
Not Hown.
Well, I would say Samhain. But I mean, see, there's 4 different dialects of Irish, so I mean,
that's true.
It all depends on which one. Yeah.
It's a good article, though, man. Have a look at it.
Yeah, I did. I read it like one other Halloween ago or whatever it was, but I'll read it again. I seen you put it up in Discord because I'll have a read of that later.
What's new in this is that they've gone into the whole area of where the cave is, and it's huge. I think it's 20 or 30,000 acres, and they're finding like just tons of stuff that dates back to to 2,000 years ago, and the kind of when the Celts were establishing themselves and the Queen Maeve and stuff like that. Because that cave is mad. I swear, like Queen Maeve was supposed to be born down there. It's just fucking scary as it is, and also it's where the Morrigan was supposed to hang out.
All right, and, so it's essentially the underworld then.
It's the underworld, same as Parmy Ham and Empty Head. What they were doing down in Italy.
Parmy Head and Empty Head. Oh yeah. That's Parmenides and Empedocles for people listening at home. and then they would have got it from Pythagoras, and Pythagoras would have got it from somewhere else. But it's all Proto-Indo-European stuff of going down to caves. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you make of waiting for a story to pierce you. I'd like to get your opinion on that one.
This is his idea that it came from the shamans of
Mongolia. Yeah,
but sure, look, it's all they would have gotten it from Proto-Indo-European stuff anyway, because that's the root of everything.
Yeah, the only kind of one response of an academic response to it was saying like, well, no, obviously this didn't happen because the time is 500 years between these two people, but. That's my kind of problem is like, well, who do I believe there? Because he sounds like he knows what he's on about, but so does Kingsley. So it's like, but so then you can go, is it just the kind of the team behind it, or is it just you see it as a myth, or is it what is it? Well, look, then if it is, so that's why I want you to read it and you tell me, because and then I'll go whatever Spud says, I'm going to agree.
Yeah, well, yeah, because me, I would have to go digging and try to find what the proper. But for sure, like the time that Parmenides, because he's older than Empedocles, but when Parmenides was doing his stuff in Italy, the Celts were doing their stuff in Ireland, exact same thing, going into caves, talking to goddesses, getting secrets and stuff like that. What I can't find...
It's the drugs that we're using.
Why did I fucking leave them? Fucking ripping floorboards up, looking for dried mushrooms. No, Is this a mushroom?
Spud literally goes to the cave and dies of food poisoning. Like, it's not what I wanted.
Kingsley calls them. Jesus, what the name's on my phone? I can't pick up the phone. Look for it. Parmenides was an Ianthropus, something like that.
Oh, the healer gods, the healer.
So he was a healer priest of Apollo. Yeah.
Apollo.
So this is the thing. This is the thing I can't find with the Druids of Ireland and Britain. Whether there was whether it was like an equivalent cult of Apollo would have been Angus.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if the Druids had different cults for different things, but you know what? They probably had, because like if these Greek healers weren't just like a healer, he would have been at the same time a healer, a poet, a lawgiver, and a moderator was the other one. That's the four. That's exactly what the Druids were. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, the actual the equivalent could be the Druids rather than a section of the Druids.
Exactly. So like, the Kingsley colonies, the Iantro, I don't remember the fucking name of it, but we call them that's what the Celtic Druids were as well. And if you trace it back further, and it was all happened at the same time, like 500 BC. That's when this was going on in Ireland as well. So if you so they're doing the same thing. Like what's the common root that they have? So
drugs.
It would have been drugs. Yeah, drugs.
But I'm laughing and joking, but it could be, because I mean that whole thing of that, if the spirit teachers or the vegetation plant teachers, all that kind of stuff, that it could have been going to these other places via the mechanism of psilocybin or DMT or whatever was equivalent, licking frogs, whatever they were at. I must actually read that Immortality Key. Just never got round to it. The one.
The Ergot, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd say that might be quite good. But
I presume that's what Parmenides and Empedocles were doing. Like.
Well, the Kingsley never ever mentions it anyway, and it seems to have
I find that strange.
Like it's what's that thing where it's by its omission. It's strange by its omission. That whatever that phrase is.
It's just never mentioned. Like it's never. It's not even like even if he was to write, some places evidence has been found for this, but not where these lads are concerned. Even if that was written, you'd say, okay, that's fair enough. He might be wrong about it.
Unless,
at least he's setting his flag out, kind of thing.
Yeah, unless of course, like Kingsley is part of the, is a psychonaut, but doesn't want to be kind of brushed aside because he has his academic desires or whatever, his leanings or whatever, and doesn't want to go down that thing of being, Graham Hancock, whatever. But I mean, it is suspicious that it's not in it, given that there is evidence of that they did do this, there's also, I kind of get a feeling about it that it's, by the way he stresses incubation and stuff, that it's you just lie down and all that, and there's no mention of the drugs or any of these type of things. It sounds like he's making a point of it. That's the only making that it's
like why wouldn't you take the ergot wine or ergot beer? Why wouldn't you if it's there? Of course you would.
Yeah. And I suppose we live in a weird culture where to be taken seriously, or to be if you're doing book tours or lectures or whatever, and you can around and go, let's everyone lie down and drink the Kool-Aid and let's see what you have. It's it's not. Whereas if you can go, I have a meditation practice that's equally as good and get you to the same place, which arguably doesn't. But yeah, so anyway, my point out of that was that that we're probably not going to be able to trace an actual place where these two people met. Say if it's a case that the Druids and the Greeks have a common history, because it might actually be, on the astral plane is where they learned this stuff, rather than Germany and 1,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago, or India or whatever.
No. I think it's the Proto-Indo-Europeans. I think it's them. I think they were doing this stuff, which Kingsley seems to be calling the shamans. That's fine. No, it's the same thing. Shamanic people. This is what they were. They were herders that moved around that part of Europe, Ukraine, the stands, all those places. This is what they were doing, and I presume they were just going into caves and talking to gods, and this evolved into Greek society, and then kind of Central and Western Europe society, you know.
Yeah, because as a culture and civilization, the very first thing we did was make beer before we made bread. So I mean, we have a thing of wanting, you know, to state change, to change your state, or to in some way, get out of your head, as Alan Watts would say. But for a podcast that constantly says it doesn't want to talk about Peter Kingsley, we should just change it into the Peter Kingsley,
because he's so bloody interesting, you know. He is like that's the thing. But
you should get on to him and for Lever Spud and see if you do it. Which that would be a conversation to listen to.
No, he wouldn't.
You and Peter Kingsley. But Peter, come on now.
Come on. What? You don't actually believe that now, do you? Could you imagine?
And Empedocles was in your room, your actual room.
Well, sure, look, it's no different than the HCA experiences me and you have. It's just...
No, absolutely not.
Name on it, do you know?
Yeah, it just, well...
But these are the types of things that are supposed to be happening, you know. You were saying, making this point last week, that when you get into meditation and to doing this kind of style that me and you do and other people as well, like, these are the things that are supposed to, and it's the same in that Joe Dispenza book as well. He's talking about these things like these are like you're supposed to have these mystical experiences when you reach certain points in your meditation and stuff. So it's like that's what it was as well last week. Is like I couldn't kind of get it out. I'm often embarrassed to talk about the experiences I have because I don't want to feel that don't want to say I don't want to come across as, hey, look at me, I'm fucking great, ain't I?
Yeah.
You know, so you're a bit embarrassed by having them because it's like, oh shit, I had this. Like, oh fuck, am I going to annoy someone that they didn't and they're at it longer than me? It's like, that's not my fault, but it's just, you know, this is what I've done to get into these states or whatever. That's why this Swedenborg thing jumped out of me today, because like he had this really simple way of saying, right, these are the 4 things that happen, and he explains them in the book, and I went, oh yeah, I know that's it. That's okay. They're names now. Okay, cool. I know what they are. So
I have a box for these.
Yeah, because instead of me, well, there's this kind of liminal space between waking and dreaming, and it's like, no, that actually has a name, Spud. That's the noetic thing, or so whatever the fuck. I'm actually going to have to buy the book now instead of just listen to it, because I need that chapter. I need this fucking chapter.
Spud needs to pull out a pen and a book, sit down for half an hour.
Yeah. Look at audiobooks. You're like, stop being so interesting. I need to buy the paper now. God damn it. Yeah.
That's the good thing I find about Kindle books, is because you can, you know, make all your notes and all that, and then you can just export it as a file, and it's, you know, it's there, so you don't have to flick through the page, right? And it's just you have
okay, well, Christmas is coming. Maybe someone will buy me a Kindle then.
Oh, you have to have it. Those Paperwhites are just like, I have the Kindle Fire and the Paperwhite. The Paperwhite's so much better for reading books. I have the Kindle Fire for comics, but and they're not. I think they're cheap enough. 60,
I have
70.
Kindle Fire, but no, I don't have the Kindle app for some reason. I don't know what I use.
Get a real Kindle.
Can I just use the Kindle app and have notes? I'm a fucking idiot. Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. God, of course. Yeah.
Damn, how am I not dead by being so fucking stupid?
Yeah.
God damn it. Now I'm going to have to read all them books again.
Oh well,
we do this thing. We'll do this demon thing, hell thing.
So what we watched this week to try and shake it up a bit from just documentaries about trauma is that we'd watch a TV series about trauma and how life traumatized people and religion. It's Midnight Mass on Netflix, and of course everyone has been talking about it.
It's all shiny and new, isn't it? It's not out for long.
No, 2 weeks, something like that, or a month at the most, something thing. It's part of the series, the haunting series of the Haunting of Bly Manor and the House on Haunted Hill, that kind of series of Netflix stuff. It's by a guy called Mike Flanagan, who I think is a hilarious name because there's a very well-known comedian of this side of the world called Mickey Flanagan, and I would just love if he was the guy who actually wrote and directed this. It would be so brilliant. And he's done a couple of other things. He did Dr. Sleep, which was the sequel to The Shining, with Ewan McGregor, which is a surprisingly brilliant film, a really, really enjoyable film. And I enjoyed Haunting on whatever, the House on Haunted Hill, and whatever that one's called. The first one I liked. The second one, the Blind Man, I want not so much. And I'm a big fan of the turning of the Screw type haunted house stories. But just
the what? Explain that to me. The what?
Oh well, so the turning of the Screw is the kind of original, I suppose, template for, someone comes to a house to look after kids because something has happened to their parents. And it turns out that either a house haunted, they're haunted, there's something. So it's that kind of template.
All right.
Yeah, and why I remember this because I've seen it.
It's just this constant, slow building
kind of
tension.
Yeah, and there was
okay.
there was a few of them made recently. There was one not that long ago was made. I was actually the last film I seen in the cinema before lockdown. So whenever that was, 25 years ago at this point, it's hard to know what time. And it's not great because people keep trying to change the film.
It's good.
Yes, yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a really good Bond film. If it was any other, you could have problems with it, but it's Bond. So, but it's within its world. It works within its world. And
this is the worst Sound of Music sequel I've ever seen.
Why is he not singing? Where's the songs? Stop killing people. That's not.
No Nazis. No goblins.
Yeah. So so the Midnight Mass, obviously Netflix like using that kind of thing because we have Midnight Gospel, which was that cartoony one from a while back. So this is Midnight Mass, not to be mistaken for it. This originally appears in a couple of the director's other stuff where he has the actual book Midnight Mass is on the shelf of one of the his other one, I can't remember offhand, and one of the characters from one of the other films is actually writing this book, The Midnight Mass. So that's interesting. He seems to be one of those people who puts a lot of kind of Easter eggs into things. So like bits, there's a mirror from a previous film is in the recreation centre or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. So he seems like an interesting type of guy. I'll probably look a bit more into him because I was looking at, I didn't know it was also Dr. Sleep until I was looked at his IMDb page page today, and he seems to have a good kind of couple of ones. He did one about a Ouija board, stuff like that. So I'll check them out too because I enjoyed this. Now, I enjoyed it with caveats. I mean, it's very, some of it's really, 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 really obvious from the outset what's happening. And that's, I suppose, the limit. Incidentally, spoilers all round. I'm just going to talk.
We have to spoil this.
Yeah.
So if you're going to watch it, go and spend your 7 hours and then come back because we have to spoil this. Because you can't talk about it without spoiling it. You just can't.
So it starts with people on it's this kind of fishing island that has been kind of falling apart because there was an oil spill a couple of years ago, and people are having a hard time or whatever. And immediately you go, why are they all wearing shitty makeup to make them look older? What's that about? And so you go, right, at some point, immediately you go, at some point, all of these people are getting younger. They're going to be younger. So you go, right, and it's like, what can you do? Like, I mean, there's like some of it's more obvious than others. Like Elliot from E.T., who will always be Elliot from E.T. He has the hunch, and he's really acting the old man, kind of thing. Oh, right, he's definitely going to be running, laps around some field at some point in the future. And then there's a woman's mother who's clearly younger than her,
than the daughter. Yeah,
clearly with makeup on. Like, but what can you do? Like if you did it CGI,
does it not make more sense to get an older actor, and then put them in a young person's makeup? Is that harder to do?
Yeah, the de-aging thing, that Scorsese did, and you see an awful lot on, like the YouTube where the de-age people, like they seem to be able to do that. But some people, the old style directors, go, no, I want to do everything practical. I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know what the reason was, other than it's clearly, in a sense, it spoiled us.
Okay, well,
not spoiled us, but I know what was going to happen. Like you could
at least get an ugly person,
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, or
like
get people.
The mother, when she's like at the end after the blood and the youthfulness returns, like she's a fucking stunner. Like she's gorgeous, and she's meant to be this decrepit, fucking falling apart, Alzheimer's or whatever the fuck it is she has, dementia. And she's in bits, so she can't even go up the stairs. She has to live in the kitchen because of the bed, whatever. And like then a few episodes later, it's like, well, where'd she come from? She's deadly. Why wasn't she in this all the time?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, it's just, I don't know.
So the story opens, apart from being on the island, the story opens with a guy, Riley, is that his name? I think. Whatever his name is.
Riley Flynn.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, it's solicitors from any rural fucking Irish village.
Riley Flynn and Sons.
Yeah, Riley Flynn. You know, you buy your house insurance, your farm insurance, your cat insurance, your dog insurance, and sure, like, you know, if you have any money that you kind of don't want other people to know about, they look after you as well, you know.
Yeah.
Riley Flynn, solicitors for all your needs in rural Ireland today. Riley fucking Flynn, Jesus.
So he has left the island and become an alcoholic, it seems, and has an accident where he kills someone, and so he's spent some time in prison, 4 years, I think, and then he gets released.
Oh yeah, and when he comes out 4 years later, the whole world has different. Everything is different 4 years later.
Well, I mean, there was a pandemic in the middle of it. Yeah, but the oil spill is it? That's kind of how they're saying it. So that there's an oil spill that has changed the island. Like that's kind of the big. But 4 years seems a bit like. Although
nothing.
Yeah, you sit in prison for 4 years and see how long it feels.
No, I don't mean him. I mean, they come back to the island and everyone is like, oh, long time, everything's changed. Everything's changed. Like, no, it's the same 127 people live here. Like, literally nothing has changed. It's only 4 years. Like,
you one left as well. So, I mean, at least one person left.
She came back and she's pregnant. And then he falls in love with her and she's pregnant. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah,
that's not a cool move in a film. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't go stirring other people's porridge.
Oh, okay. Don't stir other people. Don't Goldilocks other people. Okay, just don't do that. So yeah,
she didn't have to be pregnant. Like he could have just fallen back in love with her. Like making her pregnant.
Well, the pregnancy thing was to make the horrifying thing of losing the baby. Then later, obviously. So that's anyway. Yeah. So someone else has left the island, which is the Monsignor, which is the old decrepit priest who goes off to Jerusalem on some sort of pilgrimage paid for out of the pockets of the local people on the island as well. Yeah. So we're very much we're embedded in religiosity. When Riley comes home with his father, there's a whole thing about mass and that everyone, so there's this whole thing of that we're embedded in kind of Christian worldview and, do what's right, not what's wrong, do what Jesus says, Bible, all that kind of stuff. Of course, the Monsignor doesn't come back. This guy called Paul, who had just so you go, Paul, that's an interesting name for someone to come back from Jerusalem from. He comes back, and again, this thing is kind of like, that's plainly the Monsignor, de-aged. And you kind of go, at what point are you meant to actually know that? Because I've kind of gone, all right, okay, we're in on this, but the hounds people are. But then to act like you don't know, like where you one sees the photograph, but they don't show the photograph on the wall. And I was kind of going, oh, hold on, we're not meant to think it's the Monsignor or something. So I thought that was kind of weird. Yeah, that kind of it kind of made the viewer feel like I don't know that you were a bit thick or something. That you weren't. That it was obvious, but you were kind of, meant to not know it or something. You know what I'm saying about that? That it was just like. I know
exactly what you're getting at. Yeah, it's like, if you're watching it and paying attention, But the guy who's making it is trying to make you think that you don't know, and it's not a double bluff because he's not that smart.
No,
sorry, that's wrong. It's not done in a smart enough way to make you doubt yourself. Like immediately. Oh yeah, that's him.
Yeah, immediately what's going on. Yeah, and so I thought I was kind of going, that's a bit annoying, and but again, I was kind of thinking because I said it to Vanessa, we were watching together, and she's going, I would never have got that. So she didn't get it. She didn't cop equally that everyone was going to get younger or that he was the Monsignor. So I was going, right, well,
I don't know.
You need to read some.
I thought it was awful. Very.
Also, Vanessa watches a lot of TV while half being on her phone too, so there's probably an element of that too. But but it's that thing of like as soon as you know any kind of story structure or whatever, you can kind of tell an awful lot's going on. But it seemed too. He wasn't hiding the secret well enough at all. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough development on this Paul character to kind of. Well, I mean, he arrives with a huge, box that is clearly,
Yeah, fucking
vampire.
Dracula's box, exactly. Yeah.
Which is the same thing. They're coming off the ship, but that's all the beginning of Dracula too.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like so much of this is like, well, you got that from the. It's like right. Well, if you're going to take someone's ideas, okay, cool, that's fine. That's a trope. Okay, you can do that. But like literally, you're taking it from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, I think what happens there is that you're meant to look back and go, oh, but look, it's even Bram Stoker's Dracula. In hindsight, you're meant to put it together where you go, no, that's just Bram Stoker's Dracula. Immediately, it's like, right. So that was kind of when it wasn't enough to be too annoyed about it because I spend so much time watching films and TV shows where I kind of know what's going on too because I've said, when you know the structure and you've read any sort of myth of Joseph Campbell or, the hero's myth and particularly, the three act structure.
I got awful annoyed, Tommy, watching it. I got awful annoyed. So because I'm like, the reveal, was it episode 4, the reveal of it being a vampire, and it's like, well, of course it's a fucking vampire. Like, this isn't a reveal. Like,
no,
fucking serious here.
That's my annoyance. None of the reveals are reveals. They're all too obvious. And
it's blatantly obvious. It's just, it's like oh no, a salmon hit me in the face. Oh shit, I didn't see the fishmonger picking up the salmon 15 minutes ago.
Throwing it at me. And he also says,
you know what?
I am going to hit you with a fish in 15 minutes. All right, okay.
What's annoying as well for me is that, like, I really don't like giving out about films. I don't because so much fucking work has obviously gone into this. Like, now I was reading a bit more about it. Like, it's called Crotchet Island. Crotchet Island doesn't... Crockett Island? Crotchet Island.
Crotch Island.
Crockett Island doesn't exist. But what they did was they went to some... park, I think it's somewhere in the US anyway.
Craggy Island.
Off the coast of Clare, and they just cordoned off like a massive like fucking square mile or two kind of thing, huge like, and just said, right, we're taking over this and we're filming this as quick as we can. And it's like the amount of work even involved just in that is immense. So like I hate giving out about films because like I appreciate how much work has gone into it. But like, oh God, if you're going to try and scare people, fucking scare me. Scare me. I want to be scared. And it's like, of course he's...
So one of the plus things that I really liked to give it to balance this out was there's a scene at the beginning, I think it's episode 1 or 2, I also want to give out about this scene too, where they're on the beach and there's a load of dead cats have just washed up and it's quite an interesting type. This is cool. This is something interesting. And it's all one shot. Well, it's fake one shot, but it is mostly one shot. Of 3 different conversations on the beach as they're kind of walking around. Yeah. Really cool, really done well.
That's
Other
cool,
than the CGI seagulls are terrible. They're like, don't do that. And the CGI cats or whatever, the prosthetic cats thing. But that was good, and the way it spins around. One of the really clever things in it is you never, like, you can see the shadows of where the cameraman should be, because you can see the way the shadows are of the other people, and they've obviously been digitally taken out or whatever, but they've really thought exactly what they're doing. It's a really good scene, and you can tell this is the money shot. This is the one where we're really going for. So like it's really well made, so in one way too. Yeah.
No, it is. You did right. And there's the episode, I think it's the second last one with the thing in the church. That's deadly. It's like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones. It's brilliant. It's done really, really well.
Yeah, some great, great set pieces in it.
It's kind of like the thing. It's like, right, look, it's just fucking my thing anyway. I think I'm just like that. Like, it's like you're investing 7 hours into this one. Like, I think it could have been a really good 2-hour film or a 90-minute film. Because I mean, it's so like Stephen King. It's like it reads like a Stephen King TV movie, and he used to do them. Not he, but that's what you do. 2 hours over 2 nights or whatever. So I think that would have worked, equally as well. Rather than, but I mean, Netflix that's what they seem to want to do, is these 7 1-hour series. That's their new format. So you have to, I suppose, work within that. The main guy, Riley, again, he's kind of seen as I suppose the main character, and it's his redemption arc. This is essentially what the entire thing is. But very quickly, this Monsignor Paul or whatever becomes also the main character too. Yeah. So it switches from perspective for them, but it kind of does it too to other
people in a kind of a weird way. It doesn't do them long enough for them to be real characters, but it kind of breaks the rules of narrative, because you're not meant to know what other people are thinking if you're doing it from a certain point. But, it's just a stupid Tommie technical and annoyance. It's Crowley, not Crowley. So the kind of the story of it, and I thought the nice wee twist, and it's is that the sort of vampire that the Monsignor meets in Jerusalem or whatever, and obviously the whole thing of why he's called Paul is because Paul's conversion at Damascus, and that's kind of all symbolizing his rebirth, and as a I don't know, whatever he thinks he is now. I thought that him seeing it as an angel, I goes, well, that's an interesting thing, and where it says in the Bible that, do not be, as soon as an angel appears, do not be afraid, all that, and go, right, that's cool. I haven't seen that before, but that's a nice little twist on it, the whole thing. And I could understand, you could make, a good case of, all right, well, if there was vampires and those things and they did approach as angels, I think it was more likely people would see them as demons rather than angels. But, the way to have the vampire designed is like a big kind of human man bat. So it has the wings and stuff. So it has that kind of more of a angelic look to it. And so he brings the vampire back to the island because, that's what you would do. And obviously back in those days, there was no customs or excise or forms to be filled out about this huge monster you're taking home. So he's adding the blood to the wine. Because again, they make a big point of body of Christ, blood of Christ. And if you've been to a Catholic Mass, the blood of Christ is very seldom ever presented to you. It's only once I ever got the blood of Christ in a.
I've never gone.
It was actually at a midnight mass, so it was a thing. So and the mass.
Do you know what though? There are Catholic masses where it is given every Sunday.
Right. Okay. Right.
So there is. I think it's I've only seen it once. I think in Ireland, and I never saw it when I was an older boy. I think during weddings it was given to both the bride and groom. Maybe.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
But in Ireland, no, and even my old one gives out the Eucharist, communion, and the wine isn't just not done But I know in America it is one of the things done,
right,
and I've seen it been done. I've seen it been done here as well. So I think,
we have to let them off that one.
Do you really want to be giving out free booze to the Irish?
I know.
It's not supposed to be booze. It's supposed to be the blood of our Lord. I know. But come on, you know.
Can you drink the blood of our Lord and then drive? What's the ruling on that? How does that work? Anyway, so this blood starts obviously to de-age the population and cure, a young girl from. So there's another story arc, a redemption arc within it about a girl who loses she gets shot, by your man. She
got shot, yeah.
She's in a wheelchair, and then the first miracle of Monsignor Paul is that she's able to walk again. So we're fairly. I was kind of wouldn't have been surprised if Jesus actually turned up himself at this point. It's very.
Do you know what I think with the demon and angel thing? I think your man, maybe not your man. I don't know. You don't know the process of a write or a rewrite or anything like that. But I think they really could have played with that more, and they could have said, right. He thinks it's an angel, but it's a demon. They could have gone the demon route. They didn't. Yeah. They went the vampire route, which is fucking boring. Sick of vampires. We're all sick of vampires. We are.
I know, yeah, sure.
No, we've had enough. Why didn't they just go with a fallen angel, or it could be an angel it could be a new Lucifer story. Yeah, another angel has fallen, and he's going but the vampire has zero character other than he wants blood. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he has no philosophy, which could have been great if he had. Yeah, no, I mean genuinely, if he had a teaching, or he was trying, other than he just wanted to eat people, that was it.
Incubation.
He's going, incubate, lie down and die. Try to get the common sense. I shall place my buttocks on you.
Meatus buttocks.
Yeah. Ignore the goddess. So the vampire is Peter Kingsley. So at least that was a twist. That was one I did not see coming. I didn't see that one coming. I have to say, I put my hand up to that.
Yes, that was my thing really.
I think and there was no who's the good guy then? Like who where's because if you're having so Riley had to become his own kind of good guy in a sense, he had there was no kind of he wasn't being pulled from one way to the other. He was kind of in one sense. Well, he read every single spiritual text that ever existed ever, seemingly in 4 years in a prison. Fair dues. I came out feeling that he was an atheist, or that I think it's actually more that the whole thing is pointless. So there's God is kind of not there ever, or the good or the divine or whatever. So it's like the evil. I suppose the priest, in a sense, thinks he's doing good, doesn't he? That's probably it. But he justifies killing people, like, and his kind of thing is that it is a good act, even if it's a bad act, because it's what God wills, and so therefore even killing someone is a good act. And I mean that is an argument that is made, that by religious nutballs, and to justify any amount of atrocities, and that's like, and some, it's a bit on the nose in places where you're going right, okay, right, we understand what you're getting at, but so I don't know. So there's no battle between good and evil. There's a battle between someone who feels life is pointless and evil. That's the kind of the area that's been covered. I suppose the actual divinity never shows up until, which I thought was very interesting. I know we're jumping about much when Riley actually when he's out in the boat and he dies. That's my favourite scene in the entire thing. I thought it was brilliant. Really well done, So and how the editing is perfect on that moment where it switches to the forgiveness or whatever of the. And when I seen it first, I was going, "Oh, what's that? Is that did he just meet his HGA and she's waiting for him or whatever?" And I was going, "Oh no, that's your one from the car crash." Yeah. So that alone for me was worth the 7 hours. That scene, I thought that was proper well done filmmaking, and the whole thing where, why are we out here, so that I can't escape from you or whatever. No, so I can't escape. You go, yeah, perfect. That's all around good writing. But there's 2 episodes to go. They've just killed the main guy. What the fuck? So it gets more and more cultish obviously as it goes along, and there's just obviously you start getting talk about there's a plan, and he's there's people in. He starts choosing one that is starting to pick from the congregation that, obviously have seen him kill someone or done something, and, they're aware now that I think they're all aware there's a vampire at that point. You won the, what was her name? Yeah, she's a horrible character, and, it's like
there's one in every church.
Yeah, there's one in every church. We all know this character. Like we all know Bev. All know, yeah. So she seems from the beginning she's quite happy to. She just wants power, I assume, rather than or there's no kind of. I don't think she's really fighting for God or anything like that. Like she's well versed in Bibles.
All the priests up and down all the countries who listen avidly to the show, like what do you get? I want to ask this directly to all the priests listening today and next week and whenever you listen to this. Well, what do you get out of a Bev? Like, what's your deal? Like, you're just using her, aren't you? Because like she just wants to be close to you, and like she thinks that she's batshit crazy, but she thinks she's doing God's work by licking your arse, really. And like, can you not just? How do you live with yourself?
Is it an actual? Is it an actual job though? Is it a caretaker job, or is it just a voluntary thing? Or because there's always one. There's a Bev at every church, at least one.
Yeah. The priest I served under had. No, she wouldn't call her a Bev though. She was a housekeeper. She was lovely. No, what I mean is like there's always a holier than thou person in the congregation who will do everything. I'm cleaning the church all week, twice every day. And God loves me, and she sings the loudest and all that kind of stuff. And it's like it's so fucking fake and annoying. But At the same time, it seems that the priests are more than happy to use people like that.
Yeah, it seems to be.
But like the priest knows. He's like, what are you at, love? You know, just, whatever. Yeah, of course I lose. It's free labour. Like, of course I lose you.
That scene with her where she doesn't let anyone talk in the school, at the meeting at the school, is like, I want to fucking thump her in the face so hard during that. And you can tell everyone, like, why is no one thumping her? Why isn't anyone thumping her?
Why is everyone so fucking nice to her and just sticks and goes along with her bullshit? It's like, can no one just put her in her place kind of thing? Or is it just everyone just feels so sorry for her kind of thing? I don't know. There's a lot of layers to her, but like, you're not going to like any of them kind of thing with her. Fireblood. I've written down Fireblood here. Fireblood is kind of cool, isn't it? Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah, they would take samples of the blood and put it on the windowsill for some reason, and then it goes on fire.
Yeah, not in the fridge. Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe it's colder. So it looks like a cold place. In fairness, do you know?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It looks like there might be a breeze there, a bit of a breeze.
There was a whole Mary Magdalene thing going on in the boat scene as well. Did you get that?
Yes,
the hair, the thing on her head was red and she was wearing the green and Mary Magdalene, there we are.
Yeah, so a lot of kind of the symbology stuff is good in it, in that way that you can kind of...
I'd say John Pajot's going to go fucking nuts about this, isn't he?
I never thought we have a 3-hour video of this coming.
He's definitely going to do a video about this. He is.
Yeah, he is.
What was the one I watched? I watched something the other day and...
Poundland Peterson. Sorry, we meant to call him.
Poundland Peterson was giving out about, Jesus, what was it? Oh, no, it's something recent as well. Oh, The Green Knight.
All right.
It's just like, wow, that's really shows that you don't have a clue.
Well, what was his take on it? Like, because what possibly could you give out about The Green Knight?
Just bad.
Right.
He doesn't know what he's on about, you know what I mean? Like, he thinks he does, and he has the confidence. It's like, there's a Reddit thread, isn't there, called confidently incorrect or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but look, Pajot now, he's like Ben Shapiro. He uses words nicely to convince people that he's right. But like, if you scratch beneath the surface, you're like, holy shit, like, wow.
Yeah.
What's that? You have a lot of issues.
Amazing Freud quote where he goes and does a lecture and he's completely coked off his head and he writes in his diary after. I used a lot of big words, a lot of big concepts. Of course, no one understood what I was on about, but that's the point. I've met people like you.
Let's tune in and see what Poundland Peterson has to say about Midnight Mass.
It's the overall theme, I think, of this is redemption, right? That seems fair because everyone has a kind of a redemption story or a redemption arc. Even you one losing the baby and the marriage and how she then... it's just very sad what she talks about when she's dead and that, the baby doesn't have a name until it's given a name. And I go, that's very sad. That's
sad.
Yeah. But, that's a real kind of... That felt a real human response to something like that. And so the blood, obviously, that when she was ingesting the blood, because a baby is seen as an attack by the woman's body in some ways, and there's a lot of measures that go in the body to not kill the baby essentially, but because the blood then brings it back to a point where it was that she was never pregnant in the first place, which is fun. How would you deal with that in therapy? Well, where do I start? There was wine and that was blood, and then my baby disappeared. Yeah, and then my guy who I was in love with, but I still married someone else, he went up in flames in front of me on a boat. Get out.
Yeah, she has an awful time.
Yeah,
and then at the end, the vampire, the thing.
And I suppose then there's a big kind of climactical ending where something that all have to go to church at midnight and this whole thing, and she makes the point to go, no, I'm going to go because I want to see this through. I want to know what the ending of this is. Well, that's brave. I might have ran away myself personally, but but at that point they couldn't run away. The boats were all wrecked. But Fletch kept going, why don't you just get in a rowboat, and just go?
6.
Yeah,
that's 6. That's the bloodbath in the church. Red wedding, Game of Thrones type thing. It's good. That one's really good. Yeah, man, I wanted to like this, but I was frustrated a lot by it because it's too long.
Yeah,
could have been a film. If it was a film, it would have been fucking kick ass. You know, because there's so much. Like the first 2 episodes is, there's a lot of exposition. It's serious, a lot of it.
Yeah,
it's no need. It's just like, okay, he was in a car crash, went to prison. Sorry. Why did he only get 4 years as well? Anyway, there's just a lot that you don't really need, like, you know. But then again, you know what? It's the style of modern films, isn't it? No, like, this fucking old fella here, like, you know, like. The Western was on telly when I was a young fella. Like, if it went over an hour and a half, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, now you need long things but it's the same with books. Authors give out about having their books having to be 300 and 400 pages long now, when they could tell the same story in 150 pages. But people want.
Or you're Alan Moore and you go, I need 1,200 pages for this story that can be done in 60. Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I mean, God, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to like it. I really
the final redemption arc of the Monsignor is a bit late in the game, and it's like where
he's done far too much damage by then. Like.
Yeah, and he's kind of go, oh right, you had a kid or whatever, and he goes, well, you know, that, you know, there's a difference between, you know, when the revelation happens and you know, and it's literally not signposted at all, other than one point in the entire thing where she goes, he's always looking at me, judging me because she's a lesbian character. Well, I assume, and she thinks that's what it's been judging, but it turns out it's because he's her father or whatever. It's kind of, I don't know. It just it feels like something that could have. It's a bit too late in the game for that, where he kind of has this sudden realization of, oh, I've lost my whole thing or whatever. But okay, fair enough. And then obviously Bev has no redemption arc, and that's the whole point, that she's irredeemable, and everyone is happy when she burns up, including Spud, who sent me a screenshot going, lol. Bev on fire.
You know what? You can't do screenshots on your laptop on Netflix as well. I don't know how to do it. Some doohickey that won't let you do it. I had to take a photo of my laptop instead of the so I had to stop it. Nice. I had to stop it, reverse it, get my phone, and then take a thing. I was like, it's worth it. Tommie will appreciate this. Like, lols.
And then, of course, you have the Alan Watts ending, which is, you know, which I really appreciated and really enjoyed. I know David Halpin was of Circles, what's it called? Circle Stories and Cult Book Review. He thought he hated this. He says, that's 7 hours of my life I've never gotten back. It was too on the nose from. He didn't like the other stuff as well that he's done. He says,
I wanted to like it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, he's the Alan Watts ending. He felt, you know, it was good, other than it's an Alan Watts ending. But I do like the speech, and I do like that description. And Marco even made a point of it in his Discord where he's talking about, this is the experience of the HGA, only you have it before you die, and it has you should, that it's at will, you have to have that experience, that non-dual type thing.
The ending's great. That speech from her, it's fucking brilliant.
Like, that's definitely going to be on YouTube as a 3-minute Alan Watts type thing. You know, it's nice, and it goes back to a scene from earlier on, the scene where they're talking about what happens when you die, and it's a reshot and it's a rethink. So that now that she has died at it, and even he's back in it, the main character Riley, and he has a different kind of approach. I really, really enjoyed it, and you could tell that Mickey Flanagan, this is what the whole reason for the entire thing was, so that he gets to say this, you know, and that, and it's a non-dual look at the world, and it's everything that we talk about. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it enough that I finished it and wanted to talk about it, I suppose, whatever, but I'll never watch it again, you know. And but I have to know, I think I enjoyed it, even all the complaining I did about it. It was I'm glad I watched it. I suppose that's the best way to describe it. So it annoyed me, but I don't know. What would I give it?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. I still not really. When I was watching it, I was even like saying to Aggo, she's coming in and out of the room, and I was like, fucking annoying watching this thing. It's too long. It's too something. It's too. I don't know, but like talking about it now again, there's a lot that is good with it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't know if one outweighs the other kind of thing.
I think the things that are good with it is the intentions and the kind of, you know, the symbology, the Poundland Peterson bits on it. You know, there's a couple of really brilliant scenes in it that are that alone is worth watching for. And you won't get the impact of them if you just literally watch those 4 scenes. Like, they have to be embedded in the greater narrative. But and I understand that the whole thing is about redemption, and I don't know. There's something.
There's a lot of poking at the church as well. Like, there's the whole thing of that, like, the mayor and the beardy guy, they kind of walk in on the murder scene, and then Bev guilts them into joining their cohorts, kind of thing. And like, that's churchy, culty. That's manipulation.
And even then, there is an actual, drinking the Kool-Aid scene as well. But it's very, some of it, the overall thing is, the whole thing is a bit too obvious. That's probably the best thing to do. Like, from the revelations to what they're really talking about to the themes, it's just a bit too obvious, the whole thing, to really be a masterpiece, if you want. But yeah, I'll give it 6.5 out of 10. That's kind of where it sits with me. Like, it's
there's a thing.
I don't know. There's a word I'm looking for that's going to satisfy me, but it's not coming.
There's an interview I read with your man Flanagan. I don't remember the website I saw it on. Some reporter or journalist had been to a roundtable discussion, which is, what the fuck is that? Like King Arthur and Lancelot sitting around. Hey man, I can't get her chastity belt off, man. What the fuck is going on with this Guinevere bitch? And he's like, fuck, I don't know, man. If we go try this, I can't use a sword down there. It might fucking hurt her. And then there's like, hi, I'm from Wired. I have a question.
BuzzFeed.
Spider-Man had a different suit. Round table? Don't call them round table discussions. All right, that's for King Arthur and the cool dudes. You were at a press conference. That's what you were at. All right, call it.
I thought the whole idea of the round table was that there was no one, what's the word, orchestrating it, presenting it, being the host, and it was just people sitting, literally talking to each other, rather than like a press conference type thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. So don't call it a round table, because then like, it's not an interview. Then if it's how can you interview someone at a round table? Like, you just interview.
That Jonathan Davies show has yet to be Untitled. That's what I think of as a round table discussion, where the 4 people sit looking at each other talking.
All right, yeah. Me too. But anyway,
that's not what this is.
So they were saying that. So why does the vampire not die at the end? Because when well,
you see, I assumed he did, and that's why one couldn't feel her legs anymore. That's what I thought. That was signaling that he died, because he's dead.
No, I think her legs feeling went because the bad blood was eaten up by her normal blood. Just at that, at the exact moment. Yeah. See, I like. Yeah, either seems legitimate. Yeah, well.
So, yeah.
But your one.
The fact that they didn't see the vampire die means that he's not dead, though. As film things go.
Well, yeah, that exactly, yeah. And as well, like, so your one was took a knife when the vampire was doing his thing on her. The one who had been pregnant. Riley's
Alan Watts
wannabe lover or whatever. Alan Watts, non-duality. When he was doing his thing on her, which took an awful long fucking time.
I know, it seemed a long time. I'll just casually just cut swap the blade over
like
to this side.
She's cutting holes in his wings so that he won't be able to fly. But then, like, he totally does fly. So
he just flies away. Yeah.
He just flies away. Like, it's like, what? I thought there was holes in his wings. How can he fly away? And then, so the 2 kids that did get away in the little rowboat, are sitting out there, not rowing to the mainland. They're just like, let's watch all our parents and everyone we know just burn because fuck them, instead of trying to get out of there. And like, so they see him kind of try and fly along like a limp fucking, I don't know, like whatever. And he's like, do you think he'll make it? And I was like, well, it'll 30 miles. He's not going to fly 30 miles. Do you think he'll make it?
Hold on till I do some explaining to you about what the story structure and just go, Yeah, that was a bit much.
He has to outfly the coming dawn, which he won't because his wings are fucked. But we don't see him plunging into the sea or dying, because it's like, and he says in the interview, he's like, yeah, well, I wanted it that way because, the vampire, what does he represent? He's like, he represents fundamentalism because he's always at the fringes, and when it gets too bad, he swoops in and he does all the bad shit, and people get all mental and crazy. But like, it's always there, man. You know, it's always kind of out there somewhere. It can be gotten. It's like, no. You're looking for a sequel. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
That represents fundamentalism. Does it?
That's his thing. I look for the history in my browser. That's not leprechaun porn, and I'll send you that as well. And
okay.
No, that's what he says. This is his wording. He calls it.
But I mean,
the vampire is supposed to represent fundamentalism, and this is why he doesn't.
Bev was always already fundamentalist before the vampire arrives. So
yeah, but I think his thing is that when it bubbles up to the surface, it can take over.
All right,
you know,
okay.
and the vampires was mirroring what was kind of going on in the town. Like there's a reason why he didn't have a character, because he was showing back the people's badness in them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
What was already in them and stuff. But then again, I mean, the priest says at the end that he says to the woman who was the mother of, or the doctor's mother, was his daughter, and he says to her, well, I brought the vampire home for you because you were sick. So it's like, well, okay, now the wires are really crossed up, because were you doing it for that, or were you doing it for this, or were you doing it like what? I wanted to like it so much. I did. I wanted to like it so much, because it starts off as like, you think it's going to be like a kind of preachery thing, but then I think it just gets a bit lost in itself, and I don't know. I probably make head or tail of it.
I probably wanted to be too many things or something, or say too much, or
maybe I
don't know. Or I don't know. That fundamental thing doesn't sit with me. You'll have to think about that. In that, the whole reason why that the town got convinced by the whole thing is because of Bev, who was already a shitty character before any of this happened. So it's not that it had nothing to do with the. If the vampire hadn't arrived, she's still exactly the same person.
She'd still be nasty. Yeah.
Hence, the only one that doesn't get the redemption, like literally everyone else does.
Right. Yeah. There's other kind of decent characters in it as well. Like that, I liked Riley's dad, because you could see that he was like someone who'd been brought up in a kind of stiff upper lip kind of,
don't talk about your feelings, blah blah.
Irish, this old Irish style of like, you don't talk about your feelings, you don't have feelings, you just be the man of the house, and you just
that scene where he's trying to tell Riley that he loves him and he can't. That's so Irish.
It's quite nice. Yeah. I liked him, and I liked the sheriff was a good character. I liked
Sharif.
The beardy alcoholic.
Yeah.
Sheriff Sharif, not racist. There's the alcoholic with the beard. He's cool. There's the other guy with the beard. He seems like good crack as well. The mayor's a bit of a loser. There's a lot to like about it, but it's just, I don't know.
And then the kind of the beginning where the kids were a lot more kind of in it, the whole kind of Stephen King again about it's going to be the kids and they go off to the island, and that's kind of just dropped, and they're just all the boys sitting in the back. Yeah, that kind of like, and that other island, it doesn't get mentioned again, where they buried all the dead, and I don't know, that's very strange. That's obviously something to do with fundamentalism anyway. Just bury your dead on another island. Yeah, so watch it if you haven't anything else you want to watch.
The review from Tommie is, well, we wanted to like it.
Yeah, we were really trying hard.
Asterisks, which
I did like it in places, but I wanted to like it more than I actually liked it. That's probably the.
Yeah, episode 4 is really good. So if you watch maybe episode 1, 4 and 5, that'll do you.
Yeah. But I assume you've watched it if you got this far, or you have no intention of watching it. So either way, yeah.
Which?
I'm saying if you haven't already watched it, on the spoiler amount of spoilers in the podcast, then you're probably not going to watch it at this point.
Oh yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot about that. We totally spoiled it for everyone, didn't we? They totally just unashamedly. We had. How can you talk about a thing and not?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was good. I didn't even know the names of the people writing it down, because it was just like, I called called Bev. Well, I know her name now because I read the thing last night. In my notes, I call her Miss Goody Two Shoes. I have Preggers as the pregnant wheelchair girl.
Yeah.
I have Father Priest.
Father priest.
The solicitor is what I called Riley. Yeah, that was about it then. And sheriff. Yeah, I liked sheriff. Sheriff was pretty cool because he's struggling with his. He's a Muslim. He's struggling with bringing up the kid in a Christian, very very fundamentalist Christian island, and he's trying to be like, no, look, be a Christian if you want, but like, make sure it's a choice kind of thing. And there's decent characters in it. All right, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've enough. I feel a bit drained having talked about it. I feel like the blood has been drained out of me, like almost, like some sort of vampire. Is it a fundamentalist vampire? I feel my non-Catholic blood has been taken out of me, and more Catholic blood has been put in me, and I feel like Jesus is Lord. And
I wonder if you could bring back like Bram Stoker. Stroker.
Bam Stroker. Bam Stroker.
Pam Stroker. I wonder what would he think like of his. Well, I don't know, weren't his invention though, were they? They were he vampires had been around, all right, but he kind of.
Well, I suppose Arthur Conan Doyle hated Sherlock Holmes, so people have a tendency to. Yeah, he just he says I've written better stuff than that, and then he said I'll never write him again, killed him, and said never come back, and then a couple of years later came back and brought him back from life and did a whole other series. Because money, you have to eat.
Yeah. Well, what do you think though of how they've kind of evolved and what they are now? I really wish this had been a Lucifer thing. That was my problem with this. I really wish that it had been that had gone with like either a demon or a fallen angel or something like that, rather than just here we go again, vampire.
Yeah, just a monster, just standard monster. Yeah, right. So that's 150. That's long enough. I think we've.
No one's listened to us by now anyway, so right.
Up the Ra! Bye!
Good luck, bye.